back to the floor, aka my channel. Today we are going to be assembling my book cart slash TBR cart. I'm going to be talking about all the books I'm adding on. Thank you for coughing on me. I'm going to be talking about all the books I'll be adding on and just see if we have any books in common on our TBRs. So without further ado, let's get going. You can help me put my books on the cart? So my first shelf I'm going to dedicate to the spooky, which I have a lot of. So I talked about this book in my last video, but this book is Mary, An Awakening of Terror by Nat Cassidy. And I'm super excited to read this book. I've heard so many good things about it. I know it's about a woman who is going through menopause, and she starts having these visions, I think, of like a serial killer. So it's up to her, I think, to kind of piece together all the puzzle pieces and try to get this figured out. So it's a beautiful cover. I heard about this on Books in the Freezer podcast, as well as a lot of Bookstagram people recommending it to me. So I am adding this to my book cart. It'll stay up. I gotta get some more books on there first. Another book I talked about in my last video is Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. And this book is about a renowned horror author who is invited to go and stay in a haunted house for some inspiration for his next novel. But of course, spooky things ensue. So sounds really good. It's right up my alley. And so it's going on the spooky shelf of the TBR cart. A book I haven't talked about really too much on my channel, but I still really want to read is Our Crooked Hearts by Melissa Albert. I absolutely love The Hazelwood by this author, which was like a twisted fairy tales come to life type book. And this one, I don't know too much about it. I just know that it's gorgeous. This is the bookish box edition. It has like stenciled edges, and then it's just a naked hardback cover, which is gorgeous. As well as like beautiful artwork on the inside. But I know it's about witches, so I really like witches, and I feel like I would love this book, so I'm super excited to read it. Another book that I talked about in my November Hopefuls video is Sign Here by Claudia Lux. This book is about a demon who is working in hell, and he just needs one more soul to get that promotion that he's been working hard to get. He's been dealing with this one family for generations and offering them things to get their soul. And so, but he's finding it difficult for this next generation to get them to sell their soul. So I heard it's a very emotional book. I'm super excited to read it, and I really hope I get to it soon. Another book I have not talked about on my channel, but I really want to get to is Devolution by Max Brooks. If this name sounds familiar to you, it's because he actually wrote the World War Z that inspired the movie. I know I haven't read that yet, but I know the book and the movie are very different, because I think that one's more like a letter type book instead of it being like Brad Pitt going to save the world. But this is about a group investigating Sasquatch, but they get a little more than they bargained for when Sasquatch is actually real, and there's a lot of them, and it slowly starts killing off their camp. So it's like a found footage horror, and I really love found footage horror, so this sounds really good. Another book I hope to get to is Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesare. And this book is about a girl moving into a small town, and there is apparently like a feud going on in a town, so she kind of gets thrown in the middle of it. And so there's a serial killer clown on the loose, and yeah, she gets to deal with that. So I've heard a lot of good things about this. This is another one that comes highly recommended from the Books in the Freezer podcast, which I absolutely love. So yeah, I am hoping to get to this soon, and I know the sequel just came out, and I've heard a lot of praise about that as well, so hope to get to this soon. Another book I really hope to get to that has that found footage horror trope is Fantasticland by Mike Buckoven. And I don't know too much about this, except that it is about this, it's kind of like Lord of the Flies meets Battle Royale is how it's pitched, I think. And it's about this group of people who get trapped in an amusement park, And when the authorities finally are able to get to them, they find like heads on spikes and mutilated bodies everywhere. So it's supposed to be super creepy. So sign me up. It sounds really good. Yeah, it's not super long. I think it's only like 260 pages or something. But again, it comes highly recommended from the Books in the Freezer podcast. I should just call this the Books in the Freezer podcast TBR card. And the final spooky book that I have for now on my TBR cart is A Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I don't really know a whole lot about this book except that it's like a haunted house YA story. And I have the bookish box edition, so it's really pretty. It's got like a very shiny outer cover and beautiful sprayed edges. So I've heard some mixed things about it, but I really want to read it. It's, again, not a super long book. It shouldn't take me super long to read it all. And I mean, it's just really gorgeous. Like, I mean, it's like a weird shaped book almost. It's like square instead of rectangle. So, but yes, this is theoretically my last spooky book, but I'm sure I will go off script and read tons of other spooky books. So we need some decor. So I like to decorate my cart as well as putting books on it. So Godzilla has decided that he wants to go on my cart. So there we go. We have Godzilla. My next shelf is going to be dedicated to young adult books. And my first two books that I am going to put on here are actually by the same author, Jessica S. Olsen. So Sing Me Forgotten is about, it's like a retelling of The Phantom of the Opera. So that sounds super good. I actually watched The Phantom of the Opera for the first time this year, the really, really old silent film one, and I enjoyed it. So I'm super excited to read that. And then the other one is A Forgery of Roses. And this is supposed to be a retelling of The Picture of Dorian Gray, which I have not read. So, but it's really pretty. This is a special edition. It has the sprayed red edges and beautiful reversible dust jacket, along with a naked hardcover. So yeah, I really want to read this one. It's been on my TBR for a while now, and just so many books get added, so it gets backlisted. So, but maybe adding it to my TBR cart will mean something. We will see. Another young adult book I am hoping to get to is Lore by Alexandria Bracken, and this book is about Greek gods who rebelled against one another, and now as a form of punishment they have to walk the earth, and I think they have to fight each other or something like that. But I know this is a pretty popular young adult book. I got it in my owl crate, and yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. It's, again, another backlist book because I have so many of those. All right. Another newer addition to my young adult books is Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. And I really don't know anything about this book. I just know I've seen it on Bookstagram and BookTube, and it has a lot of high praise. So I really do want to read this. Another young adult book I hope to get to is The Beautiful by Renee Audier. And this book is about vampires in New Orleans, I think. And that's the extent of my knowledge. But I've heard a lot of good things. I know this is like a trilogy, or is it a quartet? I can't remember. It's either trilogy or quartet. And it's supposed to be a really good series, really beautifully written is what I've heard. So I really hope I can get to it. The last book I have on my young adult shelf for my TBR cart is A Legend Born by Tracy Dion. And I know this is supposed to be like a Alexandrian Knights of the Round Table, modern day magical school retelling, I think. So anyway, I've heard a lot of good things about this on Bookstagram. It comes highly rated. I know the next book in the series is actually just released like not too long ago. And I've heard really good things. Even one of my friends have read it and highly reviewed it. So excited to read this one and hope it lives up to the expectations. Now for this shelf, I'm going to decorate with some of my book sleeves that I have. I have like a Morally Gray one. Get on there. I have, I think this is the, whatchamacallit, not Six of Crows. This is the Raven Cycle. That's the word I'm looking for. Raven Cycle book sleeve. I think this one's just a design. I got it in my owl crate. This is not technically a book sleeve, but it kind of fits the vibe. It's Jude and Carden, which Cruel Prince epic series. We got Poppy and Castile from the Bookish box. And then this is from Inspired by Smoke and Bone, which I still have not read, but... And on the back it says, Hope makes its own magic. So there we go, decorated with some book sleeves. Gorgeous. Okay, the last shelf is just going to be kind of like a variety of things. I'm going to have some romance that I need to catch up on, some contemporary fiction, and yeah, so let's dive in. One of the books I'm adding onto my TBR cart is Kristen Hanna's Firefly Lane. I love Kristen Hanna's writing. I've read The Nightingale, The Great Alone, The Four Winds, and The Winter Garden by her, and I really enjoyed them. So I really hope to read Firefly Lane. I know it is actually on Netflix, so I really want to see the adaptation. I think it's a TV show adaptation, so I really want to see that and enjoy it. I would love to see some of her other books adapted as well, so that'd be awesome. But going on the bottom shelf. The next book I have on the bottom shelf of my TBR cart is The Birds of California by Katie Contugno. And the way this book is pitched is it is pitched as a 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but like I think it's a young adult version, I'm not sure. But it sounds really good. I loved The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I was obsessed with that book. I'm pretty much obsessed with any book that Taylor Jenkins Reid writes. So this book, the second I heard that it was comparable to that, I was like, sign me up, let's read this. Another book I hope to get to is Finlay Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead by Elle Cosmiano. This book, I loved the first book. I read it on my Kindle earlier this year when I was sick, homesick from work, and I devoured that in like a day or two. It was just so much fun. It's about this woman who becomes like an accidental assassin. Somebody overhears her conversation while she's at like Panera, and they hear her talking about the true crime or the crime books that she writes, but they think that she like is like a professional assassin, so they hire her and she accidentally kills somebody. Like she had no intention of actually killing them. It's just like one thing happens after another, like a domino effect, and it is just hilarious. So this is the sequel, and I think there's another book coming out this year or next year, one of the two, but I really hope to read it just because I loved that book. Another book that I did talk about on my November Hopefuls video is The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and this book is about a group of college boys that kill one of their friends, and then the consequences of their actions come back to haunt them. And yeah, this book just follows that storyline, so I'm excited to read it. I know I've heard a lot of mixed things about it. You either love it or hate it. I hope I love it, and I know that the chapters are long, but still excited to read it, and it's going down here. The next book on my list is The Final Revival of Opal and Nev, and this book is pitched kind of like as a similar book to Daisy Jones and the Six, which I absolutely loved, so I really hope I love this one. I also have heard this book is great on audio, just like Daisy Jones and the Six, so I may have to listen to it instead of reading it, but regardless, I got it through Book of the Month, and I do hope to get to it soon, just because it was really fun listening to Daisy Jones and the Six with all like the band members talking and the Fleetwood Mac vibes. So I really hope this one is similar but still different in its own unique way. Another book I do hope to get to is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I have read Beach Read and Book Lovers by her and loved it. But this book, I have heard from a friend, was not her favorite. She didn't like all the flashbacks in it. So I've been nervous and apprehensive to start it just because she didn't like it as much. I'm scared I'm not going to, but I do like to formulate my own opinions when it comes to books. So I hope I like it, but I don't know if I'm going to. But I'm going to go into it with an open mind and try to push out all that I have heard about it. So... The last book I'm going to add to my The last book I'm going to add to my TBR cart for now is Wild at Heart by K.A. Tucker. I loved The Simple Wild. If you haven't read it, you really, really should. The Simple Wild is about this Instagram influencer who learns her father has lung cancer. So she goes and flies out to Alaska, and there she finds like a sexy pilot who helps out her father. And she just kind of gets back to the basics of life. And it's just a beautiful story. I really love it. I've read it twice, and I still need to get to this one because this one follows Kala's and Jonah's story as she tries to adapt to living in Alaska and such. So I don't want to spoil book one too much, but yeah, I really hope I get to this. I really, really love this series. And for the last shelf, I'm going to decorate it with a flower thing. And there we go. Let me give you a close-up view. Okay, so here's our spooky shelf and Godzilla doing his job. We have our young adult shelf with all the book sleeves, and then the mixture shelf with our flower arrangement. And then we have all our cute little book stickers that I've collected over the years. And yeah. So thank you so much for tuning into my channel. Let me know if I should add any more books to my TBR cart.